Rebecca's life. Perfect. Small car. Happy family. Peter worked at the church, and he wanted Rebecca and their son to work with him too. They helped people who believed in God. Rebecca did everything Peter said. She also started going to church, taking her son along. Then came a day that changed Rebecca's life. She had gone out somewhere with her son for some work. After they returned, her son took his own life, and this incident completely shattered Rebecca. She no longer found joy in anything. She even stopped going to church. To forget her sorrow, she started using drugs. Pete, who was highly respected in society, began to get fed up with Rebecca's behavior. He told Rebecca, "You have only one chance. If you don't get yourself together, I'll leave you." Rebecca loved Peter very much and never wanted to leave him. She decided that from today, she would do whatever Peter asked. Marian, her friend who worked with him, was assigned Rebecca's counseling duty by Peter, and he himself moved to another place because he had made up his mind. Now he would meet her only when Rebecca was completely well. Almost a year was about to pass. Rebecca and Peter were not living together. We see Rebecca. In this 1 year, her condition had gotten even worse. Although she wasn't taking drugs, she still had hallucinations. She began to feel that someone was in the house, following her, wanting to kill her. Someone would come into the house at night and then slip into Peter's office and sit there. She tried to tell everyone about it. She told Peter on the phone, and she told Miriam too. Miriam refused to believe her. Peter even told her that he thought she hadn't given up her habits, that she was still doing drugs. After hearing everyone, she herself began to accept it. Maybe these are just my hallucinations. So maybe I'm seeing these things because of depression and anxiety. When she made peace with that, a few days went by fine, but then one day, she again felt as if someone had sneaked into her house and was now inside Peter's office. Terrified, she called Peter, but he wasn't picking up. She texted Peter saying that she felt, "There's a thief in our house, and I'll kill him." She was very scared. She took a gun and quietly sat down hiding. Again, she heard a sound near her door. She immediately came out with the gun, but it was Peter. She was frightened. Seeing Peter, she ran downstairs and said to him, "Leave me. Someone broke into the house. He wants to kill me." Peter believes her. Searches the whole house, even his office. No one was there. Peter got angry and started yelling at Rebecca that she hadn't mended her ways, that she hadn't stopped taking drugs, and that all this was the result. Rebecca promised him that she hadn't used any substance for the past year, that Miriam was counseling her, and she had provided plenty of proof. She said she wanted to live with him and was changing herself to be with him. But Peter didn't believe a single word she said. While leaving, he told Rebecca that only a few months were left, and if she didn't improve herself, he would leave her. The next day we see Rebecca cleaning the house, and she feels as if there is someone inside, some shadow keeping an eye on her. Just then Miriam also arrives at her place, and Rebecca tells her about it. But Miriam doesn't believe her and instead starts reading out Bible verses to her, taking notes. During their conversation, Rebecca gets a message from Peter. He wrote that he would come to meet Rebecca today, and Rebecca becomes very happy. She had been waiting for this message for a long time. Finally, today Peter remembered her. She gets nicely dressed, cleans the house, decorates it a little, and cooks lots of food Peter likes. Dressed up, she waits for Peter that night, and finally Peter arrives. Rebecca was very happy, but Peter hadn't come to see her. He had come to give her the divorce papers. He said, "Sign here. I don't want to live with you anymore." On hearing this, Rebecca was shattered. She started pleading with Peter, "Please don't do this. I have completely changed for you. I've quit drugs and all my bad habits, and now I'll even start going to church with you." But Peter wasn't ready to listen to anything. Because of that, Rebecca also got angry, and an argument started between the two of them. Peter said, "I want to leave you because it was your negligence that caused our son to die." She replied, How was it my fault? He was with you. In the end, he committed suicide. And you should remember well that before he went out with you, he was very happy. So would you like to tell me exactly what happened on that trip? That after coming back from there, son took his own life? They shouted at each other. And finally Peter said to Rebecca, "Whatever the case, I've decided I will not live with you." She had no parents. Her son had died. And now that her husband was leaving her too, life was going to be very difficult. So she decided to end her life right then. She took a pistol out of the drawer, put it to her head, and threatened to kill herself. During their argument, a loud scream rang out in the house. The scream was so terrifying and so loud that Rebecca and Peter's hair stood on end. No human could scream that loudly. Peter realized clearly that there was definitely some demon or some other power here. It was so frightening that Peter and Rebecca were both scared. Rebecca, dropping their fight, said to Peter, "See, I told you there's someone inside this house. You didn't believe me. Now you've heard his voice yourself." Peter, accepting Rebecca's words, started checking the whole house, but there was no one there. After searching for a long time, they found nothing. So Peter assumed it must have been a misunderstanding on their part. Rebecca said, "The same thing can't be running in both our heads. There really is someone here. Ever since you left, he has been living in this house. He has tried to kill me again and again, and he keeps stalking me almost all the time. Because of this, I was scared, and you people thought I was doing drugs." Peter still doesn't quite believe her, but Rebecca was very scared after this and says, "Please, Peter, stay here tonight." Peter agrees with Rebecca and stays there. Rebecca serves Peter food, and when Peter starts eating it, Rebecca sees that all the food had turned into black flesh, and at that moment Peter's mouth was black on the inside, as if Peter himself had become a demon. Seeing all this, Rebecca gets even more scared. Peter understood that Rebecca was scared of something. He calls Rebecca over and seats her beside him. Rebecca sees that Peter has become normal again. Peter tells her, "I understand that you are quite scared and have taken all these things upon yourself. Look, there's no need to think so much. Let's both pray together and these things will go away." She listens to Peter and they both start praying. And suddenly, she sees that the door to Peter's office upstairs was open and something had gone inside. Seeing this, she screamed. They had just heard the door slam. So for now, she was sure. He goes upstairs and tries to open his office door. Peter tries to turn the handle of that door, but no matter how hard he tried, it wouldn't budge. The handle was not turning. Peter realized that a very terrifying force was hidden behind this door. Peter holds the door and starts reciting some prayers, and whatever was inside screams, "Como fate Nizer," so loudly that Peter and Rebecca both get scared. Peter falls down and all the paintings and things in the house come off the walls and crash to the floor. Rebecca understood that there was some spirit or some evil force here, some demonic power that didn't want them to stay here. She realized that if they stayed here, their lives were at risk. She grabs Peter's hand, saying, "Come on, Peter, let's go." Heeding Dabika's advice, Peter steps outside but refuses to flee this house. Peter says, "Mink, why is all this happening in my house? Could God be trying to give me a duty? Isn't this a sign for me? Maybe God has chosen me for such a big challenge, to defeat something so great." That's what he says. "I want to go inside because I want to know what this thing is and what it wants from us." Rebecca also pleads with him, but when Peter doesn't listen, she doesn't let Peter go inside alone and, scared, decides to go with him. As soon as Peter goes inside and puts his hand on the office door, and as he tries to open it by turning the handle, lightning suddenly starts flashing in the sky, and that lightning strikes their garden, setting it on fire. Terrified, Rebecca ran outside and started trying to put out the fire. Now she was not going to go inside at all. She tried to explain to Peter too, but Peter was still adamant that maybe this was another new sign for him. He says that I have been given a big task from God and I will definitely complete this task. She understood that whatever was in their house had put a hold over Peter's mind, That's why Peter was not listening to anything now. Reluctantly, she also went inside with Peter to use the washroom, and she saw a terrifying, huge black hand emerging from the wall. That hand was reaching toward her to strangle her when suddenly there was a sound of something breaking. The hand disappeared and Rebecca came out. She saw that Peter himself had broken the glass in his hand, and now both of Peter's hands were injured. He was smearing the door of the room with the blood from his cut hands. Confused, Rebecca asked, "What should we do now?" So Peter said, "Do you know who Skinner is? There are forces behind this. They have come to me. They want to give me powers. They have come to give me a task. They are going to tell me how special I am. I have already accepted it. They told me that I have to give them blood. And look, I've given my blood, and now I'll get the powers." Now Rebecca felt that Peter had gone mad. He wasn't understanding anything. No angel or God asks for a blood sacrifice. Suddenly, their entire house starts shaking violently. The whole house is engulfed in darkness, and a glow of light appears from behind the door. She realized that this power is the devil and that, at this moment, the devil is in their house. They ask Peter to give his blood again to that power. Peter pours his blood under the door, and the blood disappears from there. From under the door, the blood gives rise to powers that suddenly lift the crucifix hanging on Peter's door and fling it away, and then grant powers to Peter. And these were dark powers. Rebecca sees that Peter's wounds had started healing on their own, and, seeing this, Peter was laughing like a madman with joy. In the end, he can't handle so much at once and faints. Realizing that things had become even more dangerous, she lifts Peter up and takes him to her friend Miriam. They go and tell Miriam everything. And even for Miriam it becomes difficult to believe whether there really were evil beings at their house, or what was happening at her place. As Peter was saying, at her house, they get confused about whom to believe. She could tell that something must have happened in the house, which is why both of them were disturbed. "Let's do one thing. You two rest for today. We'll talk about this in the morning." They go to sleep and, while sleeping, she feels that those huge figures move toward her again. They choked her and strangled her. There was no one here at all. She checked her husband's room, but Peter was gone. And then Miriam wasn't here either. A dreadful thought crossed her mind. And, to save them both, she anxiously started toward her house. From outside, Rebecca sees Miriam and Peter worshipping that entity. Going upstairs, she shouts, "What are you doing?" At this time, Peter was very happy to see Rebecca here. He says to Rebecca, "Now that you know everything, let me tell you the whole truth. These powers are not holy. They are the Master's powers. And they have been with me since childhood. And I have always followed and worshipped them. And now I want you to worship them too. Look, just like Miriam is doing. He says we don't have to do anything. We just have to give our blood to this power. And then this power does everything we want." Rebecca couldn't understand what to do. She couldn't do this wrong thing, nor did she want to. She wanted to run away from here, but her son caught her. Miriam began telling her, "Don't say no to this. If you refuse, you'll see your own end. You know your son refused in the same way, and you know what happened to him. He died." Her eyes were open now. These were the same people behind her son's death too. Peter says to her, "Look how Miriam will offer her own blood." She didn't want to see any of this. She was about to run away, but Peter cut her. Miriam cut her hand and let the blood flow under that door. Miriam had slit her wrist because of heavy blood loss. She faints right there, and then the same shadow drags Miriam away from under the door. Seeing all this, she gets very scared and tries to run away from there. But Peter says to her, "Hey, don't be afraid. Come on. Now it's your turn." She ran downstairs, but suddenly Peter, without using the stairs, was standing right in front of her. He had become a demon. He could do anything now. But Peter stops her. She locks herself in the washroom, while Peter says from outside, "Running won't help. How long will you keep running? Come out, offer your sacrifice to this deity, and you'll see everything will go back to normal." He then tells her the story of his son too, when he had taken him to the camp. He says, I tried to tell him at the camp how great this power is and what all we can do. He behaved just like you. He didn't listen to me. So look what happened to him. I had to kill him because my dean told me to. She gets another shock, realizing Peter could kill his own daughter at the dean's command. She goes mad with anger and now decides to take revenge. She opens the door and says to Peter, I'm ready. I'll do whatever you say. She says, I'll give my blood to that dean, and goes upstairs near his office room. Peter explains to her how to perform the ritual. At the same time, she picks up his gun and shoots him. As soon as Peter dies, the house starts shaking violently again. The door opens again. From inside, dark powers emerge, and dragging him, they pull the wounded. Bullet hit Peter inside. After taking him inside, they didn't show what they did to him, but suddenly there was a terrifying sound, and the house became normal like before. She understood that with Peter's death, the demon had left this house as well, because that demon and its demonic powers were here because of Peter. She was alone now. She decided to go into that light alone, and showing that, the story ended here.